call the meeting of the Planning Board for May 10th to order. First piece of business is the roll call.
Member Glenn present?
Member Ryan present.
Member Callahan present.
Member Mead present. The minutes from the April 12th, 2017 Planning Board meeting. I think the board members have had an opportunity to review it and entertain a motion to accept.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Just in terms of housekeeping, the first item on our agenda is the continued public hearing from 43 to 73 Dennis Ryan Parkway, certificate of consistency. We're going to continue that because we're going to be discussing it under the public hearing for the same item as part of the agenda. So we're going to continue that. The next item is a continued public hearing for 1 to 13 Newport Avenue, site plan with a letter addressed to myself. Please accept this letter as a formal request to continue the hearing on this matter until the Planning Board's June hearing date. The petitioner and his development team is in the process of making significant revisions to the plan to respond to the board and the department's concerns, and is in need of additional time to complete these revisions. The petitioner is confident, however, that these revisions will be completed before the board's next meeting, which is June 21st. So I'd ask for a motion to continue the Arista Development LLC at 1 to 13 Newport Avenue.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion, all those in favor? Aye. Okay. The next item is a continued public hearing for 1500 Hancock Street, certificate of consistency, Planning Board case 2017-COC-01, which was continued from the March 15th, 2017 meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Dan Bailey. I'm an attorney for the applicant, LBC Partners. I'm with the Boston office of the law firm Pierce Atwood. We were here on March 15th, as you mentioned. This is a continued public hearing, and at that time really made the gist of our presentation. So while I'm perfectly happy to answer any questions, you've got peer reviewers here. I'm going to just make it short and let you get to them. We've presented the architectural, engineering, mechanical issues. I understand they've been addressed and resolved. The one thing that was outstanding when we were here last is the land disposition agreement that's required for this project had not yet been approved by the City Council. That occurred on April 18th, so I think you probably have a copy of the LDA packages. My client is very anxious to get started. I don't know if you've seen it, but there's a groundbreaking ceremony coming up fairly soon. I believe it's next week, potentially. We'd respectfully request that the board approve the certificate of compliance tonight. And again, I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Any questions from the board? Gentlemen, there's a couple of seats up front. Okay. You want to go up here? What do you want to do? Before we get started, just one piece of correspondence that came in by email. It's addressed to the director, Mr. Stevens, and planning board members. I'm sending this email in regard to the public hearing, Chapter 121A, 43 to 73, Dennis Ryan Parkway, Chestnut Place, Planning Board Case 2016-COC-03. The applicant, this is for the applicant of 500 Victory Road LLC for this land disposition of a portion of the Hancock lot. Approval of a 15-story multifamily rental of 174 units and 7,000 square feet of retail space on the first level, plus the tax exemption, to summarize my understanding of tonight's hearing. I wish to inform you that I have contacted the law office of my lawyer, Stuart Schreier, to ask that he review the application. I ask that you do not approve this measure at this time. I am unable to be at the public hearing due to the lack of handicap parking close to City Hall with the new park construction. I previously objected to and wish to reiterate my concerns about selling public land that is still in use and not surplus, like an old unused school building. Any land use, in my opinion, should be a long-term lease. Once the public land on the Hancock lot is sold, it's gone forever. Also, the lack of public plan with this building seems to make the idea of a 700-car parking structure, also in the Hancock lot, a done deal now without approvals, with a large portion of this for their exclusive use in another possible development, As I understand, the garage would be built at taxpayers' expense with significant portions leased out to private developers. This creates a burden to taxpayers without knowing the costs or details. Starting this project without a parking plan would cause a parking and traffic nightmare for all the surrounding area, including the courthouse across the street. I also have concerns with the affordable housing exclusion that was part of Quincy's laws and regulations until Streetworks deal changed it. If the federal and state funds are being sought for this project or were part of the acquisition of the Hancock lot, I find luxury housing with no affordable housing proposed in my immediate neighborhood discriminatory. All of Quincy deserves equal and fair housing, I believe. Again, these are some reasons that I object and why I've contacted the law office of Attorney Stuart Schreier. Please acknowledge receipt of this email for inclusion in tonight, Wednesday, May 10th, public hearing. Arlene Goodman, 33 Revere Road. It is a public hearing. I'd ask anybody that wishes to speak to come forward, identify yourself. And those that do not want to speak, there are sheets on the windowsill over here. So anybody that wants to speak on this issue, please come forward.
This is 1500 Hancock?
Yes.
Okay, because you did the transport quick. Okay.
Roseanne Satine, Edgewood Circle, Quincy. You're the technician, so bear with me because I'm a layperson. My understanding is the downtown district that the parking requirement is basically a half a space a bedroom, plus some formula for whatever commercial space and other sort of things that you've got to provide. To this end, the Dennis Ryan Parkway places about 120 units and 120 parking spaces. Weston Chestnut's 160 units, and they have 90 parking spaces in-house. Roughly half per bedroom unit. At the same time, you might want to notice on the side, the building's about 85% rented, about 72 parking spaces are rented, but 35. The tenants are renting 35 spaces at President's Place. So in other words, they're at 107 parking spaces for the building, or over 20% over what the half a bedroom number works. So you might want to keep that in mind. They're already over, way over. In any event, back to the spacing. Can I share these with you?
Sure, please do.
You might have to share. I didn't know how many people were here today. This is a page from the LDA agreement with LBC. And maybe someone on this board can explain to me, but otherwise I'm contesting the certificate of consistency or whatever the right language is. If you look at the highlighted point, they're stating in the LDA that the tenant, or that the redeveloper has the right to annually readjust the number of spaces that they're renting from the city for their building between 50 and 150 spaces in any year during the time that they're providing their parking space on a sublet arrangement from a city garage. Now, if we assume 50 spaces, that puts them down to about 0.3 garage spaces per bedroom on a kind of a up in the air basis, because I'm not sure what the final mix of studios, 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, or everything else, but they would have to be past the 90 number for West Chestnut. Now, is it possible for the LDA to override what the downtown plans are for building code, parking codes, and other things? Because this has clearly set the stage that the redeveloper has the right to not abide by the half a space per bedroom parking requirement per code, or my understanding of code. Can anyone speak to that?
No
The
comment.
Director of Planning's here, can you speak to it? There was a moment ago.
This is a public hearing, sir. Feel free to give your.
Okay, I mean, I asked a question, and could someone answer to that? And no one seemed to.
This is the urban renewal district, okay?
Right.
I'm not here to discuss with you. We want to get your
Fine.
testimony.
Fine.
Feel free to
Okay.
share it.
Okay, thanks, Jim. In any event, I mean, it would appear that we're not consistent with code, with an agreement, a side agreement. And if you're going to issue a certificate of consistency, I would think you have to be compliant with whatever applicable code is. Now, maybe the LDA can override this, but I'm not an attorney, I'm not a land use guy. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to speak? Come forward, just identify yourself, sir.
Absolutely. My name's Craig MacDonald. I live at 22 Putnam Street here in Quincy, and I just wanted to tell the board that I think that this project would be a good, addition to the center. It's going to be a beautiful building, and it would be a nice addition right here in front of City Hall. Basically, that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak?
Tom Duncanson, Walker Street, Quincy. I'd like to say that I think that the project would have a positively changing look of the Hancock Street. It will add residents within walking distance to the downtown. It will help small business economy. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to speak? Come on up.
John Rodefield, 62 Grand Wall Road. Quick idea I just got while sitting there. Since they didn't agree to do any affordable housing, why don't you as a, if you want to issue a certificate of consistency, make them do 10% affordable housing or contribute 10%. You guys can hold them to what the city council and Mayor Koch did not hold them to. So, I mean, they really should contribute. They're saying that it's a burden doing that project. Everyone up in the downtown should contribute to the affordable housing. There should be no one that should not contribute to affordable housing. So if they want to develop, if they want a special permit, they want to do a very, very, very dense project on a small lot, let 10% be affordable, which I think is not even a large enough percentage. We should have 15, 17 and a half, maybe even 20% affordable for all new construction like this. But I would, that's an idea. Maybe you can do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Anyone else wishing to speak? Anyone else wishing to speak? Third and last time, anybody wishing to speak? As I represented earlier, there are sheets on the windowsill. Feel free to sign them if you don't want to come forward. Okay. Want to have the, come on up. I'm sorry.
That's okay, no problem. So do I have to sign?
Right up here. Oh, on the windowsill, yes. You just want to sign? Yeah.
Give me a few minutes.
Yep. Okay, yeah. Wooden current, pulls up. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
How are you? Stephanie Kaiser. Oh, no problem. Did you?
No, you go ahead.
Stephanie Kaiser with Woodard and Curran. Woodard and Curran has been working with the city, specifically the planning department as well as other departments, on the downtown redevelopment and infrastructure improvements over the last several years. Over the last year, approximately, we've been working with the city as well as the applicant in the coordination of the proposed project, specific to some of the coordination with associated downtown infrastructure improvements, the adjacent Hancock Lot master plan and improvements associated with that, as well as adjacent projects that are also in the design and proposal phases. As a result, our review has focused primarily on utility coordination as well as coordination of adjacent improvements and specifically the schematic and envisioned Hancock Lot master plan development. So we've reviewed the project large component of the utility coordination is associated with a storm drain culvert relocation, which is an ongoing coordination that we've been working closely with the applicant on, and that coordination is anticipated to be ongoing. We have recommended a few comments to the planning department for some ongoing coordination in association with that. But based on the number of months of coordination that we have been doing with the developer, we feel as though that the design that they have put forward is consistent with the overall master plan and the vision that the city has to enable that parcel to be redeveloped. So from a utility standpoint, we do feel as though the design as proposed is consistent with the ongoing discussions as well as the master plan that's been envisioned. For coordination with adjacent projects in the overall Hancock Lot master plan development, we've also reviewed the design. We do have a couple of comments that we've referred to the planning department that we feel as though can be addressed through ongoing coordination with the applicant, specific to some truck turning movements and some access coordination in association with the loading bays. But generally speaking, based on our review of the proposed project, it's consistent with the ongoing discussions that we've had with the applicant over the last year, and feel as though the comments that we do have are in a nature that they could be handled through an administrative review and some ongoing coordination with the applicant. Any questions?
Any questions from the board? Yeah, yeah.
Good evening, I'm Jeff Fasser with the BSC Group. I'm a land planner and a urban designer, and I've been working with the city for approximately the last 10 years on the downtown urban renewal plan. And I was asked to comment on the current application, the certificate of consistency application, relative to its consistency with the downtown urban renewal plan. As I mentioned, I've been working with the city for about 10 years now, helped prepare the very first urban renewal plan, but more importantly, helped prepare amendment number 4, which was approved last year, which really focused on the Hancock lot, which is where this particular project is located, as you know. Some of the things we looked at in amendment 4 relative to this lot involve building placement, mix of uses on the site, access to the site and from the site, from a pedestrian and vehicular perspective, parking, including an approach for shared parking on the site, because there'll be a variety of uses on it, a visual assessment of the site regarding building massing, different sizes, heights, etc., as well as important things such as connections of the area to the rest of downtown, as well as some of the urban design components that the city wanted to see in the redevelopment of the Hancock lot. Based on our assessment, we believe that the project before you, Nova Residences, certainly supports many of the urban renewal goals that were in the original plan, as well as a lot of the concepts in, as we referred to earlier, kind of the master plan for the Hancock lot. It's very consistent with what was talked about and what was anticipated by the city. It has a mix of uses within this particular building, both residential and retail. It has a major presence on Hancock Street to help enliven Hancock Street. Pedestrian access into the area was discussed in a lot of was discussed in detail, let me go with that word there, providing pedestrian access in a number of different points so that it's very accessible for the public to walk to and from the site, as well as to all the amenities within the site. There's a strong visual connection to the new civic space that will be developed interior to the Hancock lot, so a lot of the development around the Hancock lot area on the perimeter will focus on this new internal civic space. And again, I want to mention the shared parking component. As you know, part of the redevelopment for this area includes a parking garage, as was discussed earlier, and the whole idea is that there'll be a shared approach to parking within this area here, because there'll be a variety of uses and different peak times during the day for parking demand. So that kind of gets spread out over a 24-hour period. Parking will certainly be available and addressed for the variety of uses throughout the day. Well, I think one thing I did mention in my review is that a number of the items that are typically reviewed in the certificate of consistency have been addressed in the LDA. So I think there's a lot of overlap there and consistency there also. So I think, as was mentioned earlier, there's kind of an ongoing conversation as this project evolves, and that some of those certificate of consistency issues were addressed in the LDA, and that you may want to reflect that in your approval, that some of those items such as parking were already addressed in the LDA to the satisfaction of the city. So if you have any questions, happy to answer them.
Thank you, sir. Before I ask for a motion to close the public hearing, I neglected to read the language of the open meeting law, which I will do now. Pursuant to the open meeting law, any person may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting or may transmit a meeting through any meeting. Attendees are therefore advised that such recordings or transmissions are being made, whether perceived or unperceived, by those present and are deemed acknowledgeable and permissible. Thank you. Sorry? Ma'am, do you want to speak?
Yes.
Go for it.
Yeah, good evening. My name is Xin Jinsui. I live at 59 Mill Street in Quincy, Massachusetts, 2169. This is the first time I joined this hearing. So I will just, explain what I think, because I received the letter, so I just make sure. I would like to support this, project. I think welcome everybody to Quincy. I think it's a good, affordable, affordable housing. So in our street, they already crossed. I live at 59 Mill Street. I think across my street there is a 53 or 50. They already got approved. So I think that apartment. I think about 6-unit apartment. I think they are very nice. I didn't feel anything, traffic jam, everything. Be safe. I think nice people live there. At least professional people live there. Didn't no problems. Like I said, this is the first time I joined this. I'm not sure. I just want to support if this, for 27. So that's my main point.
Okay, I appreciate your comments. The item that you're speaking to is down.
27.
It's the 27.
7.
Right now, we're discussing another item, but we will take you, if you want to hang around and make
Oh,
that
I'm
presentation,
sorry.
that's fine. No, that's fine.
Oh, okay.
And if not, we'll put your comments as part of the record when we deal with the item
Oh, okay.
at 27 Mill Street.
Okay.
Okay? It's
So
up to you.
that sounds good. Yeah, well, what you guys discussing, another project?
Another project at 1500 Hancock Street.
Oh,
Yeah, right in
I'm
the
sorry, I
spring.
didn't
That's
receive
all right.
that.
That's all
Okay,
right.
I'm so sorry.
More than happy to have
Don't
you.
apologize.
Oh,
You know what? That's your right.
That's
Come
right.
up here and talk
Okay,
about this.
okay.
You don't
Can I
have to
get your name,
apologize for
my
nothing.
name is Xin Jinsui, X as a X-ray, I as a Indian, N as a Nancy, XIN twice. Last name is SUI, S as a Sam, I as a Indian, N as a, U as a universal. 59 Mill Street in Quincy. I love Quincy. I live Quincy.
Amen.
Couple years.
I
So
love Quincy. We do.
yeah, okay.
I get
So
that.
it's I think it's this is a president city. I think a lot of for future. I think it's a good development. That's my thing. I support the.
Well, you did a great job for your first time up here. Thank
Oh, okay,
Thank you very much.
thank you. Hopefully I can, contribute a little bit for the city.
Well, you already did, but
Okay,
you want to
thank
come
you.
back on that item? If not, we'll take your comments and enter them into the record for 27 Mill Street.
Okay,
It's up to
great.
you, your
Oh,
option.
Okay, thank
Then
you
you
so
can
much.
come back up and say this is your second time.
Okay, all right, okay, all right.
Mr. Chairman, I just would point out, the applicant is opening up their presentation today, so you may want to stay and listen to their proposal.
Sure, yeah.
And then that
Okay,
I think
sounds
that'd
very
be
good,
helpful for
yeah.
you to understand what the
Yes,
project
yes,
is.
that sounds very good, thank you, yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, since there is no other comment I'd ask for a motion to close the public hearing for 1500 Hancock Street.
Second.
Discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Stevens?
Mr. Chairman and planning board members, I'm here with the department's recommendation for the 1500 Hancock Street certificate of consistency. Before I go with the recommendation, I'd like to point out to the board, I believe you would have seen them in your packages, that there are going to be 3 exhibits to this approval. The first exhibit will be an executed land disposition agreement. The second exhibit is going to be titled Administrative Approval for Implementation of Public Improvements by the Applicant. As was stated at the March meeting, the applicant will be carrying out certain public improvements on behalf of the city that the city will receive ownership of and compensate the developer for those improvements. Those include the relocation of a storm drainage system that's currently underneath the building. It includes the construction of a new public atrium, which will provide access from Hancock Street to the Hancock lot. And the third item would be widened sidewalk elements. Those will all occur prior to the actual private building being constructed. And you'll hear in the recommended conditions pointing to this as an Exhibit B. The third exhibit is a construction management plan the applicant that the applicant has provided. The applicant has agreed to work with the city through the construction of the public improvements and then through the construction of the actual new building, and that all of the city departments, traffic engineer and inspectional services, will be coordinated. So again, that will be identified in the recommendations. Any questions on that before I move forward with the recommendation? Okay. Very good. The department recommends that the board vote to approve the certificate of consistency as defined within the Quincy zoning ordinance, Title 17, Section 10 definitions, and in accordance with Section 12.02-3, Section 2 overall redevelopment strategy of the Quincy Center Urban Revitalization and Development Plan as amended, and pursuant to Section 8.3 of the Quincy Center District's Quincy Center Urban Revitalization District urban renewal uses, subject to the following special conditions. Number 1, the applicant and their design team have been coordinating with the city and city consultants during the development of the Nova residences located within the Hancock Lot redevelopment area. As such, there continues to be ongoing coordination between all parties and the design teams to facilitate the respective designs and maintain a comprehensive vision for the Hancock Lot redevelopment. Subsection A, the applicant shall address to the satisfaction of the planning department all outstanding comments identified in the city review departments and city review consultants reports. The planning department shall issue a letter documenting that all outstanding comments have been satisfactorily addressed prior to the issuance of a building permit. These include 1, the Department of Public Works review letter dated April 21st, 2017. 2, the city's design engineer peer review consultant Woodard and Curran review letter dated May 8th, 2017. And 3, the city's urban design peer review consultant BSC Group review letter dated May 5th, 2017. Subsection B of this condition, any plan revisions included but not limited to site utility, landscape, erosion and sedimentation control and construction management shall be submitted to the planning department for administrative review and approval prior to the submittal for any associated permits and prior to any construction being performed. Subsection C, the applicant shall submit a final set of comprehensive plans addressing all revisions and modifications made for consistency with permit conditions and/or through further design coordination with city representatives for administrative review and approval by the planning department prior to the issuance of a building permit. Subsection D, the applicant agrees to the city's use of an independent consultant for review and comment on plan modifications submitted for administrative review and approval. Furthermore, the applicant shall be required to satisfactorily address any comments by said consultants prior to the city issuance of approval. Condition number 2, prior to the construction of the implementing public improvements as defined in the LDA, the applicant shall provide documentation to the planning board for coordination, review, and acceptance in accordance with Exhibit B titled Administrative Approval for Implementation of Public Improvements by the applicant dated May 8, 2017. This condition shall apply to the Phase 1 storm drain culvert relocation, Hancock streetscape improvements, which include sidewalk and landscape, and the atrium improvements. Documentation is anticipated to include but not be limited to items such as designer services, contracts, construction package documents, permits, and cost estimates. The city shall review the documentation and accept as appropriate. The city shall reimburse the applicant as applicable in accordance with the terms of the LDA. It should be noted that the city shall not be responsible for reimbursement of items not previously agreed to and accepted by the city. Number 3, the applicant and their contractor shall revise Exhibit C titled Construction Management Plan prepared by DF Prey dated April 25th, 2017 and associated fence construction area as needed throughout construction to enable side-by-side construction with adjacent developments. The applicant and their contractor shall minimize construction area, maximize public parking to the extent practical, and shall maintain safe access to Hancock lot parking for its patrons. The applicant and their contractor shall not obstruct side-by-side construction or interfere with adjacent construction areas. Number 4, the applicant shall coordinate with the appropriate city departments to identify all necessary permits, such that applications can be reviewed as needed by the city and their consultants. It is anticipated that the necessary permits will include a NIPD's permit, a City of Quincy stormwater management and land disturbance permit, City of Quincy drain permit, and street opening permits. Though this is not intended to be a comprehensive list, and additional permits may be necessary. Number 5, the applicant shall coordinate with the City Department of Public Works or applicable private utility companies in undertaking at the applicant's sole expense the utility connections. Number 6, the applicant shall develop and submit a dust control plan to the Department of Health for review and approval prior to any site activity. Said dust control plan is to be implemented during any site activities to ensure compliance with state air quality regulations. Number 7, the applicant shall develop a rodent control contingency plan prior to the commencement of construction activities on site, which will include the name and contact information for all on-call pest control company. Said rodent control plan shall be developed and submitted to the Department of Health for review and approval prior to obtaining their building permits. Number 8, prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy for the proposed project, the applicant shall submit final signage submittal package to the Planning Department for administrative review and approval. The submittal shall identify the location, design, and installation of all signs associated with the proposed project and identify any differences from the building signage plans included in the record plans. To the extent the applicant has not yet determined final tenant or other signage at the time of this submittal, the applicant may submit design criteria to account for such signs. As tenants for the retail component of the proposed project are determined, such tenants shall be responsible for submitting a proposed retail signage submittal package to the Planning Department for review and approval. Number 9, the proposed project area has been previously contemplated under the MEPA certificate from the Secretary of Energy and Environmental Affairs on the final environmental impact report dated December 14th, 2012, identified as EEA number 14780. The applicant shall comply with any applicable requirements of the certificate, including but not limited to wastewater mitigation as may be amended or modified. The hours for construction activities and delivery of materials will be as follows: 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Saturday. All construction and delivery shall be prohibited on Sunday unless the same are approved by the Chief of Police for Sunday activity. Number 11, the certificate of consistency shall run with the land, and the conditions hereof shall be binding on the successors and assigns. That would conclude the department's recommendation.
Any questions by the board on the conditions as outlined by Mr. Stevens? we have a motion from the board?
Motion to approve the certificate of consistency for 43 to 73 Dennis Ryan Parkway, Chestnut Place.
No,
No, sorry.
this is the other one, the 1500.
1500, sorry. Reading the wrong item. Motion to approve.
Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor? Aye. Unanimous. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
The next item is the public hearing for Chapter 121A, 43 to 73 Dennis Ryan Parkway, Chestnut Place, Planning Board Case 2016-COC-03. In accordance with the provisions of Chapter 121A, Section 6A of the Mass General Laws. Huh? No, we're going to put them into this one. And Chapter 355 of the Acts of 2016, which is Chapter 121A. The Quincy Planning Board will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, May 10th, 2017, on or after 7:45 in the First Boards and Commissions Room, Quincy City Hall, 1305 Hancock Street, Quincy, Mass., on the Chapter 121A application of Quincy Chestnut Place LLC, 500 Victory Road, Quincy, Mass. Quincy Chestnut Place LLC is the purchaser under an urban renewal land disposition agreement with the City of Quincy for the development of a portion of a parcel known as the Hancock Lot on Dennis Ryan Parkway, Quincy, Mass. Applicant is seeking approval of the project and consistent to the formation of an entity under Chapter 121A, undertake such project and for the extension of the period of the exemption of the project from local taxation under Chapter 121A. The project consists of a 15-story multi-family rental building with approximately 124 units and 7,000 plus or minus square feet of commercial/retail space on the first floor. The site of the project is shown on Assessors Plan 1142, Block 40, Lot 8. The applicant.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Bob Davis, and with David Mahoney and Robert Harnez, we represent the applicant in this matter, Quincy Chestnut Place LLC. Quincy Chestnut Place LLC is the designated redeveloper under a land disposition agreement approved by the City Council, executed by the Mayor, and now approved by the Department of Housing and Community Development. And as such, the redeveloper qualifies for the process available under Chapter 121A. And so I'd like to just address that very briefly this evening. We've submitted, because it is the first of its kind, and in accordance with the recently adopted regulations, a very detailed application which sets forth information and facts that are relevant to the decision that you'll make. And rather, with your permission, go through that in detail. I think it might be easier for all if I just simply made myself available for questions.
Great.
Let me just sort of summarize quickly, though, the relief that's being requested. It's basically three things as reflected in the notice that you read. One is for an approval of the project under 121A, and the second is for the board's consent to the formation of a limited partnership that will be the 121A entity. And the third is for the extension of the tax exemption period that's provided in the draft Section 6A contract under Chapter 121A. And we included a copy of that contract in our submission. It's been vetted with the City Council and reflects really a significant period of time of negotiations trying to get to a right proposition for both the community and the applicant. We are utilizing under the new regulations the option of the COC plans as the plans for the 121A approval. Those were previously filed, and we had a preliminary hearing on the COC, and that's now been continued until I believe your June meeting. So in some respects, this may all come together hopefully on June 21st. So that's actually all I have to present affirmatively. would be delighted to entertain any questions or deal with any comments that you might have.
Any questions from the board? Maureen? No? Okay. Okay, not at this particular time, thank you. As I read, it is a public hearing. So anybody that wishes to speak, come forward and identify yourself.
Well, my name is John Rizzo, I live at 13 Hillcrest Road, lifelong resident. And for this project, I believe that we need more retail. Anything will help the businesses bring more money into this city will be helpful. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to speak?
My name is David Franco. I live on Euclid Ave. I gotta say, small businesses are kind of the bread and butter of Quincy that I know. I don't go to Papagino's, I don't go to all these big stores. I like Magnolia's, Fruit Basket, Gunter Tootie's, Gypsy Kitchen. I think that's the backbone of Quincy. You know, I shop in Quincy, my money's spent in Quincy, I work in Quincy, and I love Quincy. So anything to help out people, businesses in Quincy, I'm totally for, especially small business. I gotta tell you, Gunter Tootie's, you know what I mean? You guys all know, it's good.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to speak?
Yeah.
Tom Duncanson, Walker Street, Quincy. I'd like to just say I support the project as a whole. I know they'll lose a little footprint with the Hancock lot as it's being referred to, but the work that's got in to create some parking garage and some spaces there, I think it'll be adding spots that are much needed in the downtown area.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to speak?
John Rutherford, 62 Bramwell Road, just doing some math over there. 12 units out of 120 would be affordable. Probably be about $800 or $1,000 difference in rent. So probably about $10,000 per unit times 12, $120,000 a year that they would be giving to make 12 units affordable. Now you're going to give them the tax break, okay? Let me get on record, I am against the 121A. I don't think they should get any tax break. I think they should pay taxes like everyone else pays in this city. And, you know, basically, again, on the city council the other night at the meeting, they approved to make the other two lots pay into the affordable housing. But for some reason, they excluded these two projects that they already have going on because they thought it wouldn't be fair. Well, I don't think it's fair to the taxpayers to give them a 121A, and I don't think it's fair to the affordable housing people to not include any affordable housing. So, again, this is in your control to issue it, and you know, maybe you can help out. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Anyone else wishing to speak? I just remind everybody that anyone who does not want to speak is a little bit shy. There are sheets on the windowsill to my left, which will be part of the public record. Anyone else wishing to speak? Okay, I would entertain a motion to continue this public hearing to our June 21st meeting. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Discussion, all those in favor? Aye. Okay, so that, we'll continue this public hearing to our next meeting, which is June 21st. Thank you all.